I get a lot of emails. I still get emails to this day asking me why I don't do an awesome thing of the week anymore. And I'll tell you why. It's because ever since I've done the most awesome thing of the week, which was Austrian Death Machine's album, nothing has since exceeded that album in awesomeness. Henceforth, there can no longer be an awesome thing of the week until something has exceeded that previous thing's awesomeness. There can be only one, as they say. And, lo and behold, something has exceeded Austrian Death Machine's awesomeness. And that is the awesome thing of this week, which is Austrian Death Machine's new album, Double Brutal. Remember when I started saying things like they should have done with the follow-up album for Austrian Death Machine? Well, they did that in this one, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, Austrian Death Machine is a metal band. This actually ties in with Brutal Legend, but it's a metal band based entirely off Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and various quotations that he's given in those movies. And the first Austrian Death Machine had such classics as Get to the Chopper and I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue of a metal endoskeleton, and who is your daddy and what does he do? But this album is actually a two-discer. It's based on Tim Lambesis, various metal riffs, and they have a lot of guest guitarists and things like that. But they actually did take some of my advice. You know, I'm sure they were listening, and they made various songs based on my suggestions. For instance, I'll just read the track list for you very quickly. And let's see, we've got I Need Your Clothes, Your Boots, and Your Motorcycle. Number 2 is Let Off Some Steam, Bennett, which I actually didn't like that one as much. It's Simple If It Jiggles, It's Fat from Pumping Iron. See You at the Party, Richter. That was my favorite one, was See You at the Party, Richter. Who Told You You Could Eat My Cookies? And Put the Cookie Down. Another one I really liked, another one from Total Recall, was Come On, Cohagen, You've Got What You Want. Give These People Air. Let's see, Come On, Do It, come on, kill me, do it now. That's actually the title, was Come On, do it, come on, kill me now. Conan, What Is Best in Life, Allow Me to Break the Ice. They do a metal version of the Terminator 2 theme, remakes of Hellbent for Leather, Trapped Under Ice, which I actually didn't like that one as much, Turned Into a Martian, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, which is a Megadeth cover. Gotta Go, which is an agnostic cover. But yeah, 2-disc of Arnold metal. Yeah, this is awesome. I got this off Amazon, and it was worth every penny. I tell you, this is awesome. It's the most metal thing ever. Yes. Other awesome things I've seen this week, of which there are many. My little atop the fourth wall moment. If you're not familiar with Ed Brubaker's work, and he's done a lot of stuff, in fact, he's turned around a lot of stuff, but some of the best comics to come out in the last year, maybe year and a half, is Ed Brubaker's run on Criminal, which is awesome stuff. And actually, I'd kind of wish I'd picked this up in trade format, because I kind of don't like sifting through individual issues. But Criminal is consistently good. Also, he's done Incognito, but this stuff is really awesome. I believe Planetary has just finished up. I think we saw the last issue of Planetary hit. I think this one wraps it up. And actually, Planetary has been kind of hard for me to follow, because it's been so stretched out over so many years. And before I can read this one, I have to read a few back issues. I remember I have the first 2 trades of Planetary, but not the third one. So I had to order the third one. And there's a bunch of crossovers, too. Like, there's this book called Crossing Worlds, which is like 3 crossovers where they interact with The Authority and the Justice League of America, and one with like some kind of Elseworlds with Batman and Clark Kent, where Planetary rules the world. I don't know. I still got to read this, because there's so much I need to catch up on. So I was really excited when I picked up Warren Ellis's Planetary, the 27th issue. But then I realized I have like probably 12 issues I haven't read yet, and I got to catch up on. Yeah, I'm a big Warren Ellis whore. So what else? The Battlestar Galactica game. I'm still working on that for you guys, but I can't find enough people willing to appear on camera to do it with me. I mean, my brother would probably do it with me, but ooh, that sounded dirty. No, my brother would probably play Battlestar Galactica with me, but I can't find. It's probably best with like 5 or 6 people, and I can't find 3 or 4 other people who have the time and inclination to appear on a camera. And besides that, I would probably need someone to run the camera, because otherwise, if I'm running the camera, I'm not in front of the game. But I would so love to do the Battlestar Galactica board game for you guys. I couldn't remember any other movies like Paranormal Activity that were similar to... Oh, I should talk about that. Paranormal Activity. People mentioned the fact that they didn't really like the ending. That they kind of... and at this point, I won't spoil what the ending was, but you should watch it. Like I said, I still liked it. On the other hand, if you want to be surprised, you should probably turn the review off on this one. But... the ending did kind of have a wink at the camera moment, which my brother actually kind of explained to me might not have been that much of a wink at the camera, in the sense that it was not a wink at the audience, but a wink literally into the camera, like the person was winking at the boyfriend, like, "Oh, you wanted to see something on tape, asshole?" Like talking to the boyfriend, like, you wanted something on tape. Well, how you like this shit? Like, you know, you're on TV now, bitch. So that actually kind of justified it for me, that ending. And it really kind of put my fears to rest on my complaints that it was kind of a betrayal. Where I said, if you're winking at the audience, it kind of betrays the trust that you put in the audience, saying, like, this is really real, you know, like, you're watching real shit right now. And you can't have it both ways, where you're doing that and still winking at the audience. There were a bunch of alternate endings that I read about, which may have served better. And there were a bunch of suggestions where I said I couldn't really think of any other movies that were like Paranormal Activity, except maybe like Blair Witch. And there were some suggestions like, what was it? Siren Blood Curse actually has, the game on the PS3, it actually is a very similar story, where it is filmed in kind of a documentary style. And I thought that was really interesting. And there aren't that many movies like that, where you're kind of following a camera crew that kind of get caught up in the situation. The only other movies that I remember were like, I hate saying the name of this movie, Wreck, or I usually just call it Record, which is the movie that Quarantine is a remake of. That was much better than Quarantine, but still not that good. I remember somebody posted a comment really recommending to me a movie called, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, but it's a Japanese film called Noroi, probably Noroi, called The Curse. And I was really fired up to hear about this, because when I did my Wikipedia research, and when I say research, I mean I Wikipedia'd it. It was apparently one of the most highly acclaimed Japanese horror films in a long time. And after watching it, which, by the way, is really hard to do, because I won't tell you where you can find it, but you kind of got to import it if you're going to try to find it legally. Which is kind of a bummer, because you can't find it Netflix, you can't find it domestically, not really. And it's about the host of a Japanese paranormal investigation program, kind of like Ghost Hunters, but not really, where he investigates a series of, at first, unrelated paranormal circumstances that turned out to be not so unrelated by the end. And I gotta tell you, this movie, I don't see why it is so highly acclaimed. And I really wanted to like this movie, so I didn't come into it with a bad intention here. I wanted to like it, because I'm actually one of those guys who kind of likes the cheesy, kind of likes the Japanese horror movies. I'm kind of a big whore for those J-horror type things. I even like movies that a lot of people don't like. Living Hell, Uzumaki, which a lot of people didn't like. Living Hell is also known as the Japanese Chainsaw Massacre. I really like that movie. There's a scene in that movie where the evil grandma ties down the protagonist of that movie, soaks his balls in water, and then over the course of like 8 hours all night takes a stun gun to his nuts. And I was just like, oh, you can't be, oh no, you can't do it. Oh, she's doing it. Like, it's a really silly movie when I try to describe it. It's basically nothing more than like this wheelchair-bound, anxiety-ridden guy whose evil satanic grandma visits the house. And like, she is clearly evil and the harlot of Satan. she's got like these hollow black eyes, and she never speaks except to be like, "Your soul is mine." But and he's trying to tell people like, she's evil. Like her and her fucking granddaughter are fucking evil, and they're like, "Oh please, you just don't like grandma." And she's like, "I'm gonna take a stun gun to your fucking nuts tonight." And he's like, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that? She's evil." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." But I love that movie. I don't know why that movie really gets silly by like the last 20 minutes of it. But it is so incredibly watchable that I was just riveted that entire time. I love that shit. But Noroi was boring. I'll tell you the truth, it was boring. Because it just wasn't that scary. Scary stuff wasn't happening in that movie. Like, the scariest thing they ever did was I'm trying to think of a legitimate scary moment in that movie, and I don't think there was one until the very, very closing moments of that film, where you find out kind of the ultimate truth of like what's behind the supernatural stuff that's going on. And there is a very, very brief glimmer of one of the characters with like this demonic fucking deformed, bloody, pumpkin-heady face going on, and it's like 0.3 seconds, but it was the most effective and probably the only really scary moment in that film. The only other moment that might qualify is when they're running around in the woods and they turn the camera on this really weird thing where like these demon fetuses appear to be feeding on some kind of glowing alien or something like that. It was more unusual than it was scary, but the entire time it's just so silly that it's hard to take seriously. Like, Living Hell managed to pull it off, Noroi just doesn't. Where there'll be the whole thing hinges on like this really crazy psychic dude who claims to hear alien voices and thinks like alien worms are eating on your soul and things like that. And his big shtick is he's like randomly violent. Like, he just flies into sudden fits of rage and starts smashing shit. And he wears aluminum foil like all over his body. He spent this entire movie like clad head to toe in aluminum foil, and he has like a tinfoil helmet to block the worms from reading his thoughts and stuff like that. That's really hard to take seriously, and the guy's acting is not good enough to give this guy any sort of menace or any kind of unsettling feeling. In fact, you really start to wonder why everyone is so interested in this guy, because he's just crazy. He's not interesting. He's just out of his fucking mind, and he doesn't appear to be psychic at all. At some point, they decide to take him on a road trip. Like, the paranormal investigators, like, we have to go to this place and visit this shrine where all this bad shit happened. You know what? We got to get the crazy guy. Let's load up the van. And like, why would you send like the guy who flies into sudden fits of rage and like put him in your Volkswagen for a prolonged trip across Japan? That does not seem like a smart idea. And like, they're gonna put him into a rowboat at one point, and they're like, that's probably not a good idea. But it kind of sounds, what I'm describing kind of sounds interesting, right? Where like they're trying to delve into psychic phenomena. And I can see where you would say that this is similar to Paranormal Activity, because there's one moment in this movie where there's like this psychic woman, and I think the guy leaves a camera on her overnight to see what kind of scary shit is going on. And there's a moment, much like in Paranormal Activity, where the woman starts to sleepwalk. She gets up and she kind of stands there for a little while, and then she goes outside and starts like choking pigeons or some shit. And it's not nearly as effective as it is in Paranormal Activity, especially since in Paranormal Activity you can see the time code going on, and you can tell she's standing there for like 2-3 hours. In Noroi, she stands there for like 5 seconds. And they seem to think that pigeons are much scarier in Noroi than they actually are. They're annoying, they're not scary. And probably the only third moment that might qualify as scary is when the psychic woman kind of turns her head and goes like, "Ugh." A bunch of pigeons like kamikaze into the window and die. And you're like, oh shit, what was that? But not really that scary. In fact, what was kind of funny to me was the thought that there were a bunch of stagehands like below the window on cue throwing dead pigeons at the window, like their job was pigeon chucking. But I was disappointed with Noroi. I'm not mad at you for suggesting it, but that was not a very good movie, man. That was... There were better movies, and I would suggest better J-horror movies if you're into that kind of thing, but Noroi is not it. Uzumaki, check that one out. I love that one. And from what I understand, fans of the manga don't like the movie all that much, but I still thought the movie was really good. I actually own, and I haven't read the mangas yet, but I should. There's so many things I should read. Like, that shelf is full of things I should read, but I'm working on videos for you guys. Anyway.